Hi, Dom.
Hey, Mike, what's up?
Not too much. Are you ready to eat my dust?
Oh, I am. I am so very ready.
So I picked this one, and it's not exactly a big budget movie.
I am going to ask you later why you picked this one.
Um, I'll tell you now, I kind of picked this one just purely for the fun of it. Um, I kind of I've always had a liking, a penchant for low budget car movies where there was a lot of craziness going on. And it doesn't hurt when there's a cute girl in it too. But
That's true.
yeah, this one was definitely low budget. A lot there's this one is a little more on the silly side. There were better car chase movies that I could have chose. But
I kept wondering why you didn't choose Bullet.
yeah, well, Bullet, Dirty Mary Crazy Larry is a big one. There's so the original Gone in 60 Seconds. I mean, there's so many. But yeah, Bullet's a great movie. But
From what
yeah,
I hear, that's the gold standard of car chases.
there's tons of Thunder Road. There's tons of good car movies. So yeah, this is definitely one that it's lower down as far as but there are reasons why I like this. But anyway, why don't you do the intro? You usually
Let me lay it out for the people at
yeah,
home. So let me just say that I'm going to say the plot, but really this movie is one long car chase.
yes, yep,
It boiled down to its essence. It's
yeah,
just car chases.
yeah,
Um, so Ron Howard plays the rebellious son of the town sheriff, small
right,
town sheriff.
yep.
And in order to impress a girl, he steals a stock car and leads the police on a merry chase around the countryside.
But isn't that something you would do for a girl? I mean, you
Maybe in my younger days.
yes, in my younger days also. But
And she
yeah,
was cute.
she was cute. Um, and the other thing about this movie is actually it might as well be Ron Howard's home movies because that's his dad and
Yep.
his brothers in the movie also. Also, it's a family affair. Those are all Howards that are in the movie.
Yeah,
That's
and according to Ron Howard, he did
yeah.
not have any role in that.
He what now?
He didn't have a role in getting
Oh,
his
and
family
getting
members.
them in the movie, really?
Right, that
Well,
was all the director that wanted them.
I don't know of any roles that the father had, but Clint
So
Howard, that's in that middle, yeah, Clint Howard there, his brother,
there's
he
the
was.
brother.
Well, I grew up and you probably never saw it. You're a little younger than I am, and you probably never saw it. But Clint Howard was in a TV show called Gentle Ben.
Oh yeah, I remember Gentle
Yeah,
Ben.
Gentle Ben. It was about a boy and a bear. It's lucky the kid never got mauled, you know, to death by the bear. I mean, I'm sure that bear was gentle, but yeah, there's his father there. Is the
There's the dad right there.
yep, yep, um, and and in the green shirt in the far back, that's that
Dave
it,
Madden.
yeah, and Dave Madden actually, if you know Partridge Family, Mr. Kincaid on the Partridge Family, that is Mr. Kincaid.
It was quite the stretch seeing Mr. Kincaid play Bubba, the
Yeah,
small town stock car
yeah,
driver.
yeah. I mean, in the Partridge Family, he's the promoter for the group, and it's not that there isn't a little bit of sleaze to him in the Partridge Family,
I don't
but
think he can help coming off as sleazy. He could be the most wholesome role in the world.
yeah,
This guy just exudes sleaze. Sorry to say.
yeah, yeah. Well, a little piece of trivia that actually something I had just heard about him, but Danny Partridge, which I'm his the name escapes me right now. Danny Bonaducci, who played Danny on the Partridge Family. He came from a rather screwed up home life, and his father was physically abusive, and he came to the set more than once with bruises on him, including one time a really bad black eye. Um, and I think the father might have knocked a tooth out another time. Dave Madden, Mr. Kincaid, him and some of the other adult members of the Partridge Family kind of figured out that his family life was not so good. And they actually, include Dave Madden mostly, but they would let him come back to their houses and stay with them.
Hmm.
And even his brothers and stuff, they actually gave him kind of refuge. So that's a very nice thing about Dave Madden. If you piece of trivia, but
I
yeah, this is a
what I
crazy.
found out was
Yeah,
that these two, both Dave Madden and the
right.
dad,
Yeah.
Ron Howard's dad, both in the Air Force, Special Services.
Wow. 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 That's pretty cool. They obviously
No,
they
not
obviously
Special Forces,
yeah.
Special Services.
Right. Right. So well, I mean, were they calling it special services back then, or was it um
They were
because I
calling it, when I read it, they were
yeah,
calling it Special Services, but from
right.
what I can gather, it's more like an entertainment division.
Oh, really? So that was showbiz.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that type of special services. Um, but yeah, I had seen this movie probably this is one of those drive-in movies, and I'm pretty sure I saw it at the drive-in, but I think before I even saw it at the drive-in, I think I saw it on TV, and that's how low budget it was. but but yeah, um, it's just a movie that I, as bad as it is, as it's kind of a fun movie. That car is a 68 Camaro,
Yep.
which is a pretty cool. I had a 72 Camaro, which is not that body style, but still Camaros are cool.
And
And
that right there behind you is
yep.
the 67.
Oh, really? Were they use so were they using a 67 in this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they used two cars, a
Oh,
67 and 68. You
yeah.
can tell when they changed them by the shape of the rear view side mirror.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
67 is round, the 68 is
Yeah.
square.
Yeah. And actually, let's see.
There's the
Um,
square one.
yeah. Yep. So yeah. And there's a round one. I'm not sorry.
I gotta say, she was cute, but there was a shocking lack of skin for a drive-in
Oh,
movie.
oh yeah, and including the number of girls they managed to fit into that car at one point when they stuff all those kids in the car. Uh, there's probably three or four girls in the car, but
It's
yeah,
an incredibly wholesome movie when you
it
come right
is.
down to it.
It's a whole. It's for a car chase movie. I mean, there was a little bit of TNA in there, but for the most
Very
part,
little.
very little,
Like
very
blink and
little.
you'll miss it.
And yeah, I was gonna say, including the fact you could tell, like Ron Howard, when they run out of gas and they got the car parked, and he's got to go get gas. He's trying to say, well, we could go back to the house together, and she's like, just go get the gas. And
Oh man, I felt so bad for him. She was
yeah,
playing so hard to get.
yeah, yeah. She really, and when she finally made the move on him, there he is trying to go get gas.
I gotta say, that was the one funny scene that I thought in this movie. I thought that was amusing.
Oh yeah, that was amusing, and I also there were to me there were a few different ones. I mean, when the sheriff's trying to like keep everything calm, and he's and they're like all the people are like trying to get in all at once. One of the deputies has got the shotgun, and he's like, "What are you doing with the shotgun?" He goes, "Ah, well, we got a whole like little uprising going." He goes, "They're just kids. They're they're kids. They're not doing anything too bad." But yeah, like I said, I looked at it as, yeah, everything, even the car chases the fact that cars were being wrecked. Yeah, there he is with the gun. It's
I
like,
saw this scene and I'm like, what kind of cop is this guy?
yeah, well, it's
Pulls it on their own citizens being peaceful in their own police.
yeah, yeah. The sheriff is trying to tell everybody just relax. It's kids. They're out for a joyride. It's not they're not hurting anybody. But but yeah, and um now Christopher Norris, she was on a medical show. I'm trying to think of the
She was on Trapper John
Dapper
MD.
John. Yeah, that's right. That was the one. Um, but she really didn't have. This was probably her one of her. She did a few other movies. Like this movie is often paired with Grand Theft Auto,
Yeah,
and
yeah, almost a de facto sequel.
yeah, it's almost the same movie, really. But and I know I've seen that one too. I might have seen, who knows, you guys might have been, I can't remember whether I had taken you guys to see it, but you guys might have seen this and
I
Grand
do
Theft
not
Auto.
recall seeing either of these movies.
Right. Yeah. Well, you might not have. It might have been another time. Um, but um, but yeah, like I said, it's I wouldn't call the car chases the greatest car chases either, but to me, it's just a fun movie. It's silly, it's fun, and yeah, you're right. It's almost like a family movie. You know, they play around a little bit. There's a scene with all the kids in the car packed into. I don't know how you get that many kids in the back seat of a Camaro because they're not known for the size of their back seats, even back
Well,
then.
these Camaros were extremely altered.
Yeah, yeah,
In
yeah.
fact, one of them had the entire back seat removed.
Oh, I'll bet because actually a lot of stock cars, that's what they do. They rip everything. Sometimes there's only a driver's seat, but yeah, you do everything you can to strip down and just have very little weight. And again, often you would put a roll cage in there. I mean, if those things roll over, it's a good idea to have a roll cage. And I don't. This one didn't appear to have a roll cage inside, but maybe I missed it too. Maybe there is one in there. I don't know. Um,
It's hard to tell in a lot of the shots exactly what's going on with the car.
yeah, yeah. But I definitely think they were having a lot of fun making this movie. And
Well,
this
Ron Howard didn't want to do it.
really.
Yeah, they gave him the script, and he's like, you know, the jokes are dumb,
Yep,
the
they are dumb.
characters are two-dimensional. The only reason he did it was he made a deal with what's his name? Corman.
Okay.
So this was a Corman production. He made a
Right.
deal that if he acted in this movie, if he took the role, he would get a chance to direct.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he did this movie to break into directing.
Well, that was a smart idea. That was
It worked.
and let's face it, Ron Howard has done some pretty good. He's done some pretty good directing
Oh yeah,
parts.
totally.
So yeah, I mean that actually to me, in a lot of ways, when you think of, I mean, everybody knows Ron Howard is Opie, and just like for Clint Howard, I know him, and so many people know him from his role on Gentle Ben. But
I know him from the several aliens he's played on Star Trek.
yeah, 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 that's true.
He's
He
been
definitely has.
in almost every Star Trek franchise. The Next Generation,
Yeah,
Enterprise, Discovery, Strange New Worlds.
uh, uh, well, I always thought of him as a cool dude in a lot of the stuff that I've heard about him. He's kind of floated under the wire, definitely under his brother's celebrity. But
He's had a ton of acting roles. Like not really, he's not a star.
yeah,
But if you look at IMDb, he's got like a list of credits longer than your arm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's character actor stuff mostly. Um, and yeah,
But it's steady work from the look of it.
yeah, and hey, you can you can live on bit parts and and just as long as you're working steady, and he did. So I have to give the guy credit. He managed to, and seemingly without, it wasn't like he was like begging Ron Howard to be put into movies that he was making.
No, I think he was doing. I think that's the point where Ron Howard said he didn't have any part in getting his relatives hired. I
Yeah,
think they were just so known
yeah,
as
yeah,
character actors that the director said, "Yeah, yeah, I want these two because they're a
yeah.
proven quantity."
Well, the other thing is Ron Howard, he's actually one of the success stories in or Ron and Clint Howard. They're one of the success stories of, you always hear these disaster, horrible stories about Hollywood kids, whether they're TV show or movie or both, um, the awful parents that they have. And I mean, you can go right on back from the early days to, whether it's somebody like Judy Garland or I mean Dana Plato or whatever. Tons of over the years, the Colemans, Gary Coleman's parents, they actually delayed getting him a kidney transplant. They kept him on growth suppressant so that he would be able to play the cute little character on whatever the hell the show was.
Different strokes.
Different Strokes, yeah. And I
Can't
mean,
believe I remembered that.
well, the kids on that show had terrible parents. And then you look at somebody like Lindsay Lohan's parents and just on and on and on. I mean, hell, way back to when you look at early starlets, there were early starlets. Again, like I said, Judy Garland's an example.
Shirley
But
Temple.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they didn't protect Shirley Temple from she almost got molested. There was some guy that exposed himself to her, and she said she just started laughing, but and and the guy basically said, "Get out, get out." But yeah, I mean, like I said, there could have been like really terrible things that happened. She was only by the grace of God did she get out of having something worse happen. But like I said, on Jean Harlow was another one, her mother.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's bring it back to the movie.
yeah.
Let's stop with
But
these
but but Ron
lurid
Howard's
horror stories.
well, Ron Howard's family was actually a really wholesome family, and that was actually what my point was. so he actually came out really well, and so did Clint. But yeah, once again, a silly car chase movie that
And it did surprisingly well. Like this certainly wasn't my favorite movie, but you said it, low budget, a budget of $300,000.
yeah,
It grossed over 5 million.
wow, I didn't realize that.
You,
But
you know what? You know what movie this beat out for profits?
what's that?
Was Death Race 2000,
Wow,
which
damn.
I actually like Death Race
Yeah,
2000.
I do too. Damn, I mean, I'm really surprised. And the car chases in this are actually like they're not the best at all. The funniest parts in this are when the sheriffs keep crashing their cars, and it's always in like cute, funny ways. Nothing's actually like, and there's not that many cars that are getting wrecked. Like, there's a lot of the cars are old stock cars. They're not even they're cars that are just like you could pick this car up for pennies and then wreck it. you know. So
Okay. Do you remember this scene behind
yes.
me?
Yep.
So there's one scene, for those who haven't seen the movie, there's one scene where Ron
And they do
Howard's
it in
trying to get away
yeah,
in his car. He starts to drive off the road on top of a shed,
right.
and he starts to go over the shed nose down, and
Yeah.
then they stop the film. They
Yes.
freeze. He
Yeah.
puts it in reverse, and
She puts it in reverse, I think.
and they obviously reversed the film to
Yes.
bring it back up. So
Yeah.
the story behind that,
Yeah.
they were actually supposed to do a stunt where the car drove on top of
Right.
the shed collapsed, cushioning the fall, and
Right.
then the Camaro drove off.
Right.
To help with that stunt, they even cut pieces out of the structural support of the shed.
So it would collapse. Yep.
The shed stayed up. The Camaro went up and went nose first into the ground. That ruined the entire stunt. So the only thing they could do, they did some quick thinking and used an editing trick to save the scene.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure she actually goes, just put it in reverse.
Yeah,
And which you see, and that's a Hurst shifter, by the way, on the floor, but one of those T-handle shifters, which I thought were so cool. Um, but um, but yeah, just backs the car up, and it looks so fake
oh
when
my
you
God, it was horrible. But
yeah
again, inventive way to save the scene.
yeah, and it did, it absolutely did save the scene. But like I said, I when you asked me like why did you choose this movie, I really I can't tell you other than the fact that we had just done Smoking the Bandit, and I was thinking to myself, and I happened to see a clip, maybe it was on YouTube, or maybe it just was an ad on Tubi where I saw that this was available. But I was like, oh man, I remember this one, and I thought, hey, in keeping with my pick of Smokey and the Bandit, I think I'll pick this one because I hadn't seen this in many years, and I thought this would be fun to rewatch. So
Yeah,
that
if anyone's listening to us at home, this movie and its successor, Grand Theft Auto, are both on Tubi.
yeah, yeah. And again, once again, we don't get, we're not promoting Tubi because we're sponsored or we're getting sponsored by them or I mean would be happy if they
We'd
would
love to,
yeah,
but no, it's
but
just a great platform.
yes, it is, and that's why we frequently mention Tubi. I bring up Vudu a lot of times because I buy a lot of my movies nowadays on streaming, and I love being able to archive and keep the movies that way, and take them with me when I go places, and but they're both great services. Of course, you're paying for Vudu for the most part. They do have some free, but Tubi, other than ads, Tubi is offering such great. I mean, no matter what you're into, it's on there. And
Mhm.
like Dom said, Grand Theft Auto and Eat My Dust are two of the ones on there.
I've been watching Tubi almost every day because they've got like a bunch of the seasons of the old Doctor Who.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
They've got the British show Being Human. I think they've got the BBC show Humans, and if you haven't seen Humans,
I have it.
that's worth checking out. That's a
Okay.
decent sci-fi.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Yeah. And talking about Doctor Who, it's off the subject, but you got me into Doctor Who years ago when it was playing on PBS, and I one day you were sitting there watching a Doctor Who episode, and I happened to sit down. And I'm like, "This is the hokiest show," and you were laughing and saying, "Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun." And I started watching, and I was like, "Wow, I'm really into the show."
It's
And
really well written. Like, I got into the later Doctor Who. I'm sorry that we're digressing from Eat My
mm,
Dust, but um I've seen some and enjoyed some of the later Doctor Who, like the 10th, 11th, 12th Doctors.
yeah,
But they made the show a lot flashier, a lot, more mainstream. Whereas way back when, back in the 60s, early 70s, they had some great writing. They were doing some serious sci-fi on
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I have lost touch with. I haven't watched Doctor Who really since probably the the oh um, what's his name, the curly haired doctor. Well,
Oh,
there's two
Pete
of them.
Davidson.
Well, yeah, no, Peter Davison was the blonde-haired doctor.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
um,
Oh, do you mean Tom Baker?
yeah, Tom Baker, and also his brother that was his brother, right? The king.
I don't
He was
know.
also a baker. But anyway, I watched through his Doctor Who
He'll
franchise, and
always
then
be the best doctor to me.
yeah, yeah. So um, so and they all that's another thing. They always had cool companions with them that made it interesting. They always all had their different quirks, and but
Well,
anyway,
cool enough, a lot of them got their own show. Mary Jane got her own show.
yes, yep. Oh yeah, a lot of them appeared in other things, but but yeah, like I said, I definitely got into, and they had some cuties for companions too, but who can forget Leela?
I
You know,
know.
um, but the wild chick there that, but yeah, like I said, it was just a good series, and I did lose touch with it, and I've been meaning to try to like catch up on some of the stuff, but yeah, there's Dave Manning again there with Ron Howard,
Mhm.
but like I said, this is this is not something we don't have like a huge amount even to go with on this one, other than the fact that this is a car
I
chase movie and
I
it's
do
fun.
want to point out one of the high points. I was really pleasantly surprised by this. It was the best part of the movie for me. The soundtrack is by David Grisman.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I've seen this guy in concert,
Yeah.
world famous bluegrass
Yeah. Yep.
musician.
Oh yeah. No, definitely, definitely. I mean, I thought for a minute you were going to say Christopher Norris, but 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 no, I agree with you. The soundtrack is definitely good, and yeah, it's one of those. Um, it fits with a low budget car chase movie too, because
It
there's a
really worked. It's funny because um, they weren't real obvious about where this town was set,
yeah.
but you see a few signs that say it's Pucker Bush, Indiana.
Yeah.
But as you're watching these car chases, you can't help but see the mountains in the background, like
Yes.
significant mountains. And I'm like, okay, where was this really filmed? This
Right.
is filmed in Southern California.
Yeah, I see. I would have said this was definitely a Southern movie that was made somewhere in like the Southwest, and Southern California sounds right. Because you got to figure that looking at the what you're seeing there, it's got to either be Southern Cal or maybe somewhere in like Utah or
It could be
Nevada.
Colorado.
Yeah, yeah. But I think I observed cactuses and some of the, but there again behind Ron
Yeah,
Howard,
yeah, totally.
there's mountains, and so yeah, it fits with Cali. But but yeah, again, like I said, I there's nothing about this, just asking me like why pick this one. Um, it for me, this was about old memories and
Mhm.
seeing it, and it warms my heart watching watching it, because I remember being really young and seeing this, and I could have been 16 or 17 first time I saw it, and but
Now,
yeah,
until looked into this movie, I couldn't have told you who Charles Griffith was. But
right.
Griffith wrote and directed this film. He also wrote and directed Death Race 2000.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
In
That's
fact, he's held in such high regard by certain people. Quentin Tarantino dedicated his film Death Proof to Griffith.
wow, awesome,
So,
awesome.
I mean, he's got to have something going.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing about a movie like this. I know damn well that Tarantino has he's known to have one of the greatest movie poster collections, probably one of the most valuable movie poster collections in the world. And I guarantee you, he's got a poster of this movie and and Grand Theft Auto. So for sure.
I still, he goes in for Grindhouse. I
Mhm.
get it. Um, this movie, it's just too wholesome to be Grindhouse. Like
Yeah, it's
the as you point out, the crashes are all campy. There's no real injuries. No one's
yeah,
getting shot at. No one's really getting mad at this guy. Got his car stolen, and
right.
he's not really that angry.
No, he actually, that's one of the things that I thought was really heartwarming with this movie. Because the sheriff really wasn't, I know it's his son, but he seemed like he was a real hard ass in the start of the movie. Just the way he's like asking the kid about, did you do your job? Did you get this done? Did you get that done? And so you're thinking to yourself, wow, this guy's going to come down really hard on this kid. And he doesn't. In fact, if anything, he's telling everybody, just relax. These are kids.
He
And
was a
nobody's
very
really,
moderate
yeah.
sheriff.
And Bubba, there behind you, for the same reason, he really doesn't get upset. And in fact, him and the other drivers, because that's the other thing, they actually incorporate all of these race car drivers to try to help catch and they're just having fun. they're,
Well,
they're all just
they're
out.
drunk off their
Yeah,
behinds.
and at one point the sheriff he goes, "Are you guys all drunk?" And like, and they're like, "Yeah, we kind of are." And he just gets in the car with them. But but no, it's like this guy is so nice at the end of the movie when Ron Howard brings the car back and he brings it back intact. And he says to him,
Which
"Well,
would
get
be
in."
impossible, by the way. There's
I
no way
know.
that car would have looked that good.
Yeah, just that scene you were talking about with the shed was enough. And there are scenes where you see the car actually buckle. You see the frame buckle, and it's like there's no way. But of course, it's because of the magic of movies.
The
The
magic
car
of
is,
movies.
yeah, it's perfectly fine.
And
Other than,
that's not too much of a suspension of disbelief. You want it to all be all right in the end.
yeah, you do. You don't want to. You don't want this to turn ugly. It's because everybody's just having fun, including all the deputies. They're having a good time too. It's like everybody. This was entertainment for the weekend for everybody. And he brings the car back, and Bubba says to him, like, get in. And when he starts to get in the passenger side, he goes, no, get in the driver's seat. And he goes, now take it out on the track. And the two of them go out riding around on the track, and he's telling him like, you're actually you got the talent to be a driver, and which is what the kid always wanted, was to be a driver. And
Yeah, it had a great ending.
yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, why did I pick it? I just picked it because it's fun, and it's not, for anyone that hasn't seen this movie, if you're thinking of giving it a watch, I would say watch it. And like Dom just
It's a
said,
mindless fun movie.
it is. And like Dom was saying, you can see Grand Theft Auto right there behind me, or you can see Eat My Dust for free on Tubi, and they're both fun. They're silly. You're not going to be watching a great movie. You're just going to be watching something for fun. But yeah, that's why I recommended it. And hey, it's got all the it's got the whole Howard family in there.
That was amusing having the whole hour. I wonder what it's like working with relatives like that, like with your dad and your brother.
Well, to tell you the truth, I think that family, honestly, I think they're just nice people. I mean, I never met Ron Howard, but I did deliver to him more than once, to his Connecticut place, and he bought a few things, a glider at one time we delivered, a few different things, to one of his houses in Connecticut, but he was a big tipper, and we always had a pretty good tip whenever we delivered to him. Never met the guy, was never there, but yeah, like I said, I just feel like I've never heard anything bad about Ron Howard. I've never heard anything bad about his family, and so like I said, that's probably why the movie was so wholesome. It had the Howards, involved in it. But
Okay, in this scene, we're gonna have this guy shot. No, 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 that's too
yeah,
far.
yeah. Roger Corman had to hold back. So, and that's another thing. This is for anyone that's if you're a Roger Corman fan, he did make this movie.
He produced the movie.
That's true. That's true.
This is quite divergent from a lot
But
of,
they always stamp his name on this one.
well,
It's
with good reason. That
yeah,
name carries
yeah,
weight.
yeah. But yeah, I mean he sold the he or helped to sell this movie. But yeah, again, it's closer to like if Disney made a if Disney made a car chase movie. Well, they have the Love Bug, the Love Bug. They made those ones. They made several real silly ones, and this is silly, but it's fun. So that's why I picked it. That was my recommendation for this week. And and did I mention it's got Christopher Norris in it? But she definitely is a cutie. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the movie. That's my pick for this week. And
Well, we are going through all the movies.
yeah,
All the years, all the genres.
well, there's so many more movies that I could have picked, and I always agonize whenever I pick a movie. I think I should have picked this one or I should have picked that one. No matter what I pick, I'm always going to second guess myself, and naturally I did with this one also. But I'm glad I picked it. I rewatching it again was a lot of fun, and I mean, I even got like you're going to be coming up for the next pick, but yeah, yeah, that was a great scene there. They had two or three of the deputies in there with the sheriff, and that driver was definitely drinking while he was. Well, he at one point one of the deputies said, "How much have you drunk?" And the sheriff goes, "This don't let's not even bother with that now. We'll give him a ticket for it later." It was like but yeah, you would never see in real life, you would never, I guess, you would never see this kind of zaniness, but it sure was going on here.
But I was trying to look for a screenshot of Ron Howard getting gas at that station.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
because that scene is so remarkable. Like the vast majority of the movie are just car chases.
Oh yeah.
There's some humor.
Yeah.
There's like maybe the car chase equivalent of slapstick, but like I didn't find the movie that funny. That scene with
Yeah.
him riding up in a
There.
horse-drawn carriage,
Well, and yeah,
filling
and that's him on the wagon, and he's got milk cans in the back.
he's filling the milk cans with the gasoline. Then the cop pulls up and he's describing Ron Howard to a T.
Yeah.
And the attendant is just so dense. He
Yeah.
doesn't, he's like, no, no, no
And,
one like that.
yeah. And Ron Howard's turned his head away.
And then to put the icing on the cake, he cheats the guy with a money con.
Oh,
At the,
that's right. That's right. Yeah. It's all kinds of fun and hilarity. No, it's yeah, and he goes, well, if I see him, like, yeah, if I see him, I'll sure tell you. And away the guy drives. But no, it's just it's a lot of fun. There is the closest thing you get to a sex scene with Ron Howard and Norris. There is she steps into the shower, but you see nothing. It's very mild for today's movies. Well, they've toned it down an awful lot, but back then, I mean, the sex
well,
scenes
no,
were.
no, 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 no. I've seen some late 60s, early 70s grindhouse movies,
Oh yeah.
and there is more than enough nudity and violence and
Well,
graphicness.
those were the great days of when you watched a movie back then. You were assured in the 70s and 80s. You were assured of a good sex scene in a movie.
And,
If
and
you
so, which is why I'm surprised. Like, I'm wondering who they made this movie for. It must have been people who were just in love with cars because if you're, a teenager looking for a dark theater to hang out with your
Yeah.
girlfriend, this doesn't seem like the movie.
Well, that's one of the things with car chase ones, drive-in movies, if they were specifically catered for the drive-in fare, which the low budget ones usually were. It was horror car chase. You were assured of you were gonna see some bare chicks in the movie. It was the great days, the golden age of of that stuff, and it was so the movies back then were so much fun for a lot of reasons. The gratuitous violence, just everything was just over the top, and it was so much fun to go to the movies back then. I wish to hell Hollywood would come back to that a little bit, the fun.
Well, I think that's why a lot of moviegoers have abandoned Hollywood
Yeah,
and are
yeah,
looking at these smaller, more independently produced films.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because the independent films, they more often than not, they are making much better movies. That
And we talk about A24.
A24. I was just gonna, yeah,
I think that's their strength.
yes, yeah. They are doing some of the best movies, and they're doing it because they're making movies that you're like, holy crap, that like blew me away. It surprises you. Um, some of them are bigger budget, but a lot of them are just for today's movies. They're not like terribly huge budget. I don't know what Midsummer was, but I loved that movie.
Midsummer was great.
it, there's so many movies. Was Babadook also A24? I believe it was.
I don't
Um,
know.
but there's on and on. There's just so many. Just go down the list of a lot of the A24
Mhm.
movies and what's come out of there, and it's
Have you
fantastic.
seen The Green Knight?
No, I have not.
I'm going to pick that at some point. It's a
Yeah,
movie that I didn't think I would like. It
yeah,
looked like a long, boring, artsy type movie, and wow, that movie captivated me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I will definitely have to check that out. No, um, like I said, I definitely love A24. And again, we're not getting, nobody's promoting us. So, so, so,
We just love movies.
we just love movies. And so what we talk about is what we love. And we love A24 for the most part. Not maybe every movie that they've done, but they've done their the slate of movies is incredible. So
They
yeah,
take risks.
yes, that's the thing, is Hollywood is afraid to take risk anymore. And I get it, the budgets, they're high, and it's hard to have a movie that fails, but geez, have a little bit of balls. I mean, take some chances, because when you succeed with those taking chances and applying the risks, um, audiences eat that up and they love it, and they'll come back for more. So, but yeah, they're all they seem to look for is like a safe film that they can that crosses all
Not
the.
just safe, almost outright formulaic.
Yeah, oh, they are formulaic, safe, and so and they make a lot of movies that think, oh, we can make a franchise out of this. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, how many Men in Blacks do you really want to see? I mean,
Well, I mean, Harry Potter,
yeah,
the Pirates of the Caribbean,
yeah, yeah. It's just,
this How to Train Your Dragon. I promise you,
yeah,
we're going to see four of those.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And I don't think I really don't think I've seen one of the How to Train Your
I've
Dragon.
seen the one animated um, How to Train Your Dragon,
Yeah,
but none of the sequels.
I've seen Men in Black, and I've never seen any of the sequels. To me, it was like, it was okay.
Oh, I've
Um,
seen all the Men in Black,
really,
mainly
yeah,
because of oh, I can't remember his name, the older guy,
oh
Tommy
yeah,
Tommy
what?
Lee Jones.
Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
loved him in that.
yeah, yeah, and he's probably I'm Will Smith. Right now, after the Chris Rock incident, I was really offended with what he did with Chris Rock, and I'm having a hard time now.
I can't
Actually,
believe that wasn't performance.
I know, but I don't think it was. I really don't. From what I've seen afterwards, Chris Rock's talked about it, and I think he's rather bitter about it. And he's lucky that Chris Rock, because they actually asked Chris Rock. Supposedly, he was asked by the cops, Do you want to press charges? Do you want us to arrest him?" And from what I heard, he said no, leave it alone. But which was lucky for Chris Rock because it would have been a lot messier than it was. But and again, you've got a room full of weasels that just sat there and watched it and then applauded for Will Smith when he was accepting his Oscar later on. And it's like, the guy did something atrocious over something that was ridiculous.
The whole thing was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm having a hard time watching anything with, and I'm not one of those people that does that. I don't just like write an actor or actress or director off because of things that I see and hear. It may frame my brain a little bit about it, but I'm not going to stop watching movies that say Will Smith's in. But right now, like I said, I am a little bit like, okay.
On that note, I think we've exhausted our talk on
We
Eat My
have.
Dust.
We have.
And I gotta say, I'm giving it one thumb up. It's an amusing little movie,
Yeah.
but it's not something your life will not be less if you never see it.
Yeah. Well, I actually have to give it two thumbs up.
Just because
And
of that one scene behind you.
the closest that we got to probably a sex scene in this movie. Um, and but yeah, like I said, no, I enjoyed the movie. I will give it two thumbs up. I know it's a bad B movie, but to me it's a fun bad B movie. So yeah, that's probably we have to call it quits here. We've given it thumbs up, and Dom, the pressure is now on you. Do
Oh, no
you have a
pressure at
pick?
all. I love choosing these movies.
Yeah.
It's always a hard choice, but still I love, and I'm gonna shift gears for movies. We've been doing a lot of 70s, 80s movies, a
Yep.
lot of very basic movies. I want something newer now, something a little slicker, a little more complex.
Okay.
I want us to do Knives Out.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I'm excited about that. I have seen it, but it's been a little while since I saw it, so it's not something I've seen real recent.
Yeah, I
So
saw it at the theater when it came out, and I haven't seen it since. So
cool. Cool. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that one. So yeah. Dom, I like your pick. I absolutely like your pick. So having said all of that, we have exhausted our uh, our talk on this one. This one here was probably one we had to stretch a little bit more on anyway.
it's a simple film.
Yes.
It is what it is. There's no, it's a fun movie. There's no great depth to it, though.
No, 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 and I will fully admit that. I only give it the two thumbs up because I had fun watching it. I had fun watching it years ago, and I
Also,
rewatching
the
it.
Howard family.
Yes, yeah. And Chris Norris too. We can't forget her. But yeah. So please, people, leave a like, subscribe, uh, come back for more. We're gonna keep.
Give us comments, recommend movies to us.
Yeah, yeah, yep. If you can think of anything you'd like us to talk about, bring it on. Put it in the comments. And Dom, with that, I think we're gonna call it a wrap. So
Indeed.
we will be back next week with Knives Out. Hopefully not knives at each other, but we'll have to come with our Ginsus. So, but all right, Dom, I will see you next week, and
See
you
you
guys
next
out
week.
there, we'll see you guys next week. So take care.